The storm outside never let up. New York had a way of brooding in the rain, gray skies strangling the city like a noose, the air thick with smog, regret, and things better left unsaid. Leah Monroe sat on the edge of her worn leather sofa, elbows on her knees, eyes locked on the brown envelope lying untouched on her coffee table. No return address. No postage. Someone had walked it to her door. For an hour, she'd stared at it like it might bite. Her apartment was quiet except for the distant whir of traffic and the low hum of a broken radiator. She lived on the 4th floor of a crumbling tenement in Crown Heights, a far cry from the Upper West apartment she once had when she wore the badge. Now, she wore shadows. And silence. She reached forward and peeled back the flap of the envelope. Inside, a small USB drive and a photograph. She froze. The picture was old, printed on fading Kodak paper, but sharp enough to stop her breath. A young woman, no older than 23, stared into the camera. Her mouth was grotesquely sewn shut, dark stitching pulled through skin like a Frankenstein nightmare. Eyes wide. Not just afraid, pleading. Written on the back of the photo, in red ink, was a single date. June 17, 2017. Leah's heart sank. That year. The year everything changed. And tucked beside the photograph was a slip of thin paper. Typewritten. All caps. She stood up, fists clenched, breath shallow. The living room spun for a second before settling into cold stillness. 2017, that was when the Mute Girl cases began. 5 young women disappeared within 4 months, all from different boroughs, all under strange circumstances. No bodies. No motives. Just voicemails and eerie evidence that hinted at something organized, something controlled. Each girl had called 911 just before vanishing. Each left a message warning about him. But him was never named. No fingerprints. No suspects. Just silence. And when Leah had dug too deep, when she refused to let the case die, her partner, Detective Cole Vance, turned on her. And the department followed. She'd been labeled erratic, unstable. They sent her to psych evals. Forced her to turn in her badge under the weight of stress-related behavioral deterioration. But Leah never stopped believing there was more to the case. Now, 7 years later, someone was telling her, she had been right. She plugged the USB into her aging laptop. It whirred to life like an old man waking from a long nap. A folder opened automatically. Inside were video files, audio recordings, and a document marked, Final Entry. Leah's hands trembled as she clicked on the first video. The screen flickered, then lit up with a young woman's face, brunette, freckles, sharp eyes. The timestamp read June 9, 2017. This is Isabel Carr. If you're seeing this, I'm probably dead. Leah sat back slowly. I've been working undercover inside Stonebridge Solutions. They're not just a private security firm. They're covering up a trafficking operation, domestic, high-level, protected. I have evidence. But if I go missing, it's because someone inside knows what I've found. Leah paused the video. She hadn't been one of the official victims. Her name wasn't on the original list. But Leah remembered a brief, buried missing persons report. College student. Disappeared after graduation. No foul play suspected. Because no one was looking. Leah clicked on another file. This one was an audio recording, no visuals. A phone call, muffled but intelligible. The girl knows too much. You said it was handled. She's nothing. She won't talk. She's a kid. She's already recorded you. Laughter. Then you know what to do. And then, something that made Leah's stomach twist. A third voice. Calm. Confident. Familiar. Handle it clean. No mess. No trace. She knew that voice. Cole Vance. She staggered back from the desk. The walls of the apartment felt closer now, the rain louder, as if the city itself was listening. Cole had been her partner for 8 years. They had cracked gang murders, serial assaults, organized drug cases. She trusted him with her life. And he had buried her career to protect something. Leah stood in the dark for a long time, the glow of the laptop screen flickering in the gloom. She had questions. But more than that, she had rage. The next morning, she paid a visit to Isabel Carr's mother, now living in a psychiatric care facility upstate. The nurses warned her not to expect much. She has good days and bad ones. Mostly bad. Mrs. Carr sat in a chair by the window, staring into nothing. Her hair was white, her hands trembling in her lap. Leah sat gently beside her and placed the photograph of Isabel on the table. The woman blinked slowly. Then again. Then she began to cry without making a sound. She tried to tell them, she whispered. She told the police. Told them everything. Who didn't listen? Leah asked. They told her she was paranoid, the mother said. She said there were men following her. Black cars. She said her phone was tapped. That her professor told her to stop digging. And you believe her? I know my daughter. She wasn't crazy. She was brave. Leah stood to leave. As she turned, Mrs. Carr reached out and gripped her wrist with surprising strength. They killed her, she whispered. And you were supposed to stop them. By the time Leah returned to Brooklyn, it was nearly dark. She locked the doors, closed every blind, and went back to the USB. There was one last file. A folder marked, New York_OPS/clearance, Blackbird. Inside, Leah found an Excel spreadsheet, hundreds of entries. Names. Dates. Status. Each labeled, extracted, silenced, or relocated. And then, next to 5 names she recognized, Lisa Forrester, Kayla Monroe, Jasmine Cheng, Mireya Torres, Brianna Vale. She saw the final word, terminated. Her heart pounded in her chest. Each of those girls had been one of the missing. Each had died. Silently. Forgotten. And no one had paid. Not yet. At 2:37 a.m., Leah stared into her bathroom mirror, washing blood from a split lip she'd gotten in a bar fight 6 weeks earlier. She touched it unconsciously, the sting waking her up. She wasn't afraid. She was alive. And someone was going to burn for what they had done. Leah hadn't slept. By morning, her apartment was scattered with printouts, crime scene photos, yellow documents she'd saved in a storage box labeled junk. On the wall, red thread connected old victims, suspicious names, and now, at the center, Isabel Carr. A ghost no one remembered. She stood barefoot on the hardwood floor, sipping lukewarm black coffee. The spreadsheet from the USB haunted her laptop screen. Hundreds of entries, most with vague designations. But if her instincts were right, this wasn't just a list of missing people. It was a ledger. She scanned the rows again. One column read, authorization. Almost every name beside a status of terminated had a tag, SV_05. Stonebridge Ventures, possibly. Code 05. But one name stood out. Carr, Isabel, status, deceased, authorization, CV_01. CV. Cole Vance. She knew it before she saw it. The initials were burned into her head now like a brand. He hadn't just helped cover it up. He'd authorized it. Leah needed backup. But not cops. She couldn't risk going back to NYPD. Not yet. The last time she tried, they threw her to the wolves and called it therapy. She needed someone outside the system. So she called Milo Reyes. Milo had been one of those kids who could break into Pentagon servers by age 16. In his 20s, he nearly spent life in federal prison after hacking Homeland Security, something about a data leak, a manifesto, and 3 too many energy drinks. Now, he ran a basement repair shop on 3rd and Ludlow. And he owed Leah. She'd kept him out of jail 5 years ago. When she walked into his shop, the walls buzzed with mismatched monitors, coils of wire, and stacks of old hard drives. The whole place smelled like dust and bad coffee. Milo looked up from a pile of tangled chargers, blinking behind round glasses. "Jesus, you look like hell," he said. "That's a compliment." Leah dropped the USB on the counter. "I need every hidden byte. Deep encryptions. Shadows behind the shadows." Milo raised an eyebrow. "This another, burn the city to the ground, kind of job?" She didn't answer. That was a yes. While Milo began his forensic dive into the drive's deeper layers, Leah took a burner phone from a drawer and dialed an old number she hadn't touched in years. It went straight to voicemail. She left one sentence: the mute girls weren't done. She doubted anyone would answer. But it didn't matter. She needed eyes open. That evening, she paid a visit to a place she swore she'd never return, NYPD 9th Precinct. The station hadn't changed, same fluorescent lights, same overworked cops, same coffee that tasted like regret. She walked in like a ghost. No badge. No uniform. Just determination. At the front desk, a young officer blinked in surprise. "Can I help?" "Wait, you're Leah Monroe?" She nodded. "Weren't you fired?" "No. Suspended indefinitely. I'm here unofficially. I need the archive case files for 5 missing girls. 2017, code name MGC. Ma'am, I can't let you." She slid a folded paper across the desk. A printed scan of Isabel Carr's warning video. The officer paled. 10 minutes later, she had access. The files were buried, scanned notes, blurred interviews, reports that all ended in the same 2 words: case closed. Leah dug deeper, flipping through files until she found a redacted report from a coroner's office. A Jane Doe found in a landfill outside Staten Island. No mouth. Eyes missing. Cause of death undetermined. The case was classified overdose. No fingerprint match. But in the corner, almost invisible beneath the scanning glitch, was a case number, IC 0717. Isabel Carr, hidden in plain sight. Back in Milo's lair, progress had been made. "I've cracked the mainframe of the USB," he said. "It's not just files. It's a mirrored drive from a secure server. Remote access logs. Staging orders. Payments. From who?" Leah asked. "Stonebridge. But it's deeper than that. There's a central node, internal communications labeled under something called Operation Mute." He turned a screen toward her. Emails. Encrypted chat logs. Signed off with code names. One familiar, CV_01. She leaned in. One of the chat logs read. CV_01, if Carr leaks this, we're done. SV_05, then terminate the chain. No loose ends. CV_01, consider it handled. Another log came from just 4 days earlier. SV_05, we've been compromised. The Monroe file has been reactivated. Do we proceed? CV_01, yes. Cut her loose. If she resists, silence her. Milo turned pale. They're watching you. Leah returned home with her heart pounding. She checked her locks twice. Closed every curtain. But it didn't matter. Someone had been there. The window lock was cracked. A faint boot mark trailed across the floorboards. The laptop was gone. USB 2. Milo still had his copy, but everything Leah had was wiped. Her phone, smashed. Notes? Burned. And on the fridge, taped in place of her magnet, was a new photo of Isabel. Only now, her eyes had been scratched out. Below it, handwritten in ink, "You don't get a second chance." Leah didn't sleep that night. She sat with a baseball bat by the door and a Glock in her lap, watching the world turn black through her window. The rain had returned. But she was done being afraid. She was going to finish what she started. Even if it killed her. Leah woke on the floor with her back against the wall, gun in hand, eyes bloodshot from a night of no sleep. Her apartment smelled of rain and adrenaline. She checked every corner. No new messages. No fresh threats. But the silence felt louder now. She made her decision in under 5 minutes. She was going to confront Cole Vance. If he wanted her silenced, he'd have to do it face to face. Cole had retired from NYPD 2 years ago. Now, he was head of security for Stonebridge Ventures, the private firm that had hired half of Manhattan's ex-cops and none of its morals. He lived in a glass high-rise near Battery Park with fingerprint elevators and doormen trained to smile and forget. Leah didn't go through the front door. She knew the fire exits. Knew the timing of security cams. By noon, she was inside Cole's penthouse suite, crouched in the shadows. He entered alone. No guards. No suspicion. He didn't even flinch when she stepped from the dark with her gun raised. "Well," he said calmly. "I wondered when you'd stop hiding." Leah kept the gun steady. "You murdered those girls. You're pointing a weapon at the wrong man," he said. "I protected this city. You let it rot. That girl, Carr, was a threat to national security. Do you have any idea what she was about to unleash?" "I don't care," Leah snapped. "You buried the truth." Cole stepped forward slowly, not afraid. "Truth doesn't matter, Leah. Order does. Without silence, cities burn. We don't get to pick who lives and dies, we just keep the balance. You killed Isabel Carr." "No," Cole said. "She killed herself when she chose to cross the line. I simply cleaned up the mess." Leah's finger trembled on the trigger. "You going to shoot me, Leah?" he asked. "Go ahead. And watch the system swallow you whole again. You're not the system anymore." "No," he smirked. "But I built the new one." She lowered the gun. "I'm not here to kill you," she said. "I'm here to expose you." He chuckled. "To who? The press? The cops? The same people who cut you loose like a diseased limb? No one's going to listen to a washed-up detective with conspiracy theories and no badge. You sound scared." "Not scared," he said. "Just tired. Tired of playing the same game with people who think the rules matter." He turned away. And in that moment, Leah walked out, quiet, cold, but not defeated. Because Milo had been recording everything. Back at Milo's lair, Leah replayed the audio. It was fuzzy, scratched by interference, but clear enough. "He's arrogant," Milo said. "Which means he's careless. And I think I've found his backdoor." He showed her a new interface, complex, multi-windowed, coded in a mixture of dead languages and black market encryption. "This is a live access node to Stonebridge's surveillance server," Milo said. "They've been archiving private data, home security cams, phone microphones, even NYPD body cams. All off the record. I decrypted 2 clips. Look." He pressed play. One clip showed Isabel Carr in a dim office, sliding a flash drive into a laptop. Another showed a boardroom. Cole Vance. 2 unknown men. Discussing containment plans. This is enough to make noise, Milo said. Big noise. Not yet, Leah said. If we leak this now, they'll spin it. Say it's AI generated. A smear campaign. We need the source. You want to break into the central server? I want to kill the silence, she said. Root and stem. That night, Leah and Milo planned the breach. Stonebridge's private server sat in a black site facility beneath an abandoned office park in New Jersey. No public record. Only accessible by biometrics and encrypted proxy. But Milo had a skeleton key, hacked through old NSA loopholes and scrubbed data hubs. It would get them through one firewall. The rest? Guts and ghosts. They moved at midnight. Leah carried a burner phone streaming directly to Milo's rig, which he had set to auto-broadcast the moment contact was lost. They parked half a mile away and walked in through a storm drain. Inside the compound, the lights buzzed low. Everything smelled sterile and unfinished. Leah found the server room, a vault-like chamber surrounded by glass. She entered a code. Fingerprint. Retinal scan. Milo's hacks held. Inside, she found it, Operation Mute. Files, folders, surveillance, directives. She plugged in a drive. Suddenly, the lights went out. Power cut. Over the comms, Milo whispered. They're on to you. Get out, now. But it was too late. A figure stepped into the dark. Cole. Always 2 steps behind, he said. How'd you know I'd come, she asked. I didn't, he replied. I knew you couldn't help yourself. He raised a weapon. But Leah had learned from the best. She tackled him into a desk, knocking the gun aside. They fought, violent, brutal. Old scars reopened. Years of betrayal came out in fists. But Leah was faster. She grabbed a steel rod from a broken table and brought it down hard across his leg. He screamed, crumpling. She leaned close. You killed them all for silence. But now the world's going to hear everything. She left him gasping in the dark, took the drive, and ran. Milo was waiting outside with the engine running. Did you get it? She nodded. Back at the shop, they plugged in the drive. Everything was there. Recordings. Videos. Payment trails. Names of victims and their handlers. Government contacts. Even contracts signed by corporate execs and NYPD brass. This was the storm. And Leah was going to let it hit. Leah had expected threats. She'd lived in shadows for years. But what happened next was something else entirely. Within hours of uploading the files anonymously to a secure journalist outlet, her burner phone exploded, dozens of calls, texts, unknown numbers flooding in with veiled threats and promises of ruin. She turned off the phone. The rain hammered against her window like warning drums. The next morning, Milo didn't show. Her calls went straight to voicemail. Leah's gut twisted. She raced to his apartment, found the door ajar, a shattered laptop on the floor, and the faint smell of bleach. Milo was gone. Leah's world shrank to cold pragmatism. Someone was hunting them. Someone powerful. She buried the flash drive deep in a hollow beneath the subway tracks near her apartment. No one could find it. Days passed. Leah took no chances. Every shadow was a threat. Every glance a warning. Until one night, at a dingy diner in Queens, she spotted a familiar face, Jenna Parker. A hacker. A ghost from her past. The only person who could help her now. Jenna slid into the booth opposite Leah, eyes sharp and calculating. You're playing with fire, Jenna said. Stonebridge isn't just a company. It's an entire network. Political, corporate, street level. Leah nodded. I know. Jenna leaned in. They've got eyes everywhere. Even inside the DA's office. Leah swallowed hard. We need leverage, Jenna said. Something big. Something they can't ignore. That leverage came in the form of a leaked video. Not just any video, but a recording from inside Stonebridge's secure server, a clip showing Cole Vance meeting with a mysterious man in a black suit. The man handed over a small package. Words were exchanged. Then, a gunshot. The man collapsed. Cole looked down, calm, calculating. And then, a phone call. Operation Mute is compromised. Leah and Jenna worked through the night, decrypting layers of the clip, cross-referencing faces, names, dates. The black-suited man was Senator Malcolm Hayes, a powerful, untouchable politician with deep ties to the private security industry. Leah's breath caught. If Hayes was involved, no one was safe. The following morning, Leah confronted DA Marissa Holt, an old friend turned foe. I have evidence tying Stonebridge and Hayes to multiple murders, Leah said. Holt's expression was unreadable. That's a dangerous accusation, Leah. You know how this city works. You want to play whistleblower? You'll need more than videos and hearsay. Leah clenched her fists. Then help me find it. Holt sighed. I'll see what I can do. But don't expect miracles. Weeks passed in a blur of paranoia and near misses. One evening, Leah returned to her apartment to find a note slipped under the door. Stop digging or you're next. She didn't reply. Instead, she packed a small bag and vanished. Leah's disappearance lit a fire in the city's underbelly. Reporters sniffed the story. Activists demanded answers. And the silent victims, the mute girls, began to speak through whispers and rumors. Leah was alive. And she was coming for justice. Leah was off the grid. She slipped through the city's veins like a shadow, no phone, no digital footprint, no safe haven. But she had one weapon left, truth. With Jenna's help, she compiled every shred of evidence, financial trails, video footage, leaked emails, into one dossier, too big and too explosive to ignore. It wasn't just Stonebridge or Cole Vance anymore. It was the entire machinery, politicians, law enforcement, private security contractors, all feeding from the same corrupt trough. She arranged a secret meeting with Elias Grant, an investigative journalist with a reputation for exposing the untouchable. In a rundown warehouse on the docks, Leah handed him the dossier. Publish this, she said. Blow the lid off everything. Grant nodded, eyes sharp as a hawk. Once this hits, there's no going back. Meanwhile, Stonebridge's elite security force mobilized. Cole Vance was desperate, his empire crumbling. He sent men to find Leah. Leah anticipated their move. Armed and ready, she faced them alone on the rain-soaked pier. Bullets tore the air. She moved with precision, ducking, weaving, firing back. One by one, the men fell. But Cole emerged from the shadows, weapon drawn. End of the line, Leah. No, she said, voice steady. This is just the beginning. They fought fiercely, years of betrayal boiling over. Leah disarmed him, gun pressed to his temple. Your silence ends here. The next morning, the dossier hit every major news outlet. The city erupted. Protests. Resignations. Arrests. Leah watched it all unfold from a quiet rooftop. Her phone buzzed, a message from DA Holt. We're cleaning house. Thanks to you. Leah looked out over the city. The silence was finally broken. But the echoes would never fade.